Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Octavia Prosper. In the headlines, over 2,940 public servants to see increases in their salary this September. Minister pleased with operations at Marigot Hospital. And Prime Minister calls on developed countries to honor their pledges. The details of the headline stories and more when we return. Welcome back. The government of Dominica has approved recommendations coming from the completed organizational review and reclassification of the public service. This is in keeping with the announcement by the Minister for Finance in the 2023-2024 national budget.
I am pleased to announce that as of this month, September, the new salary structure approved by the Cabinet will come into effect. Under the new structure, salaries for employees at all levels will be increased, with the exception of level 1, which remains unchanged. This means that just over 2,940 public officers will benefit from the new salary structure in the first phase, resulting in an overall increase of 6%, with some public officers benefiting from up to 13% increase in salaries.
This decision will result in an increase in government's wage bill by an estimated $9 million annually.
So the question of who will benefit as of this September by this new measure, we are talking about many of our essential service providers, our teachers and principals, public police officers, fire officers, doctors, nurses, environmental health officers, and others who serve on the front line of the public sector, providing key services to members of the public at critical times. And so I am pleased to announce that from this month end, these public officers and their families will be better off and better able to take care of their commitments.
This measure reflects government policy to do all it can, even in a difficult economic period, to improve the lives of all citizens. Minister for Health, Wellness and Social Services, Honorable Kasani Laville, has welcomed the commencement of services at the Marigot Hospital. The Marigot Hospital began operations on Monday, September 11, with a number of services already available. Minister Laville says operations at the Marigot Hospital will be rolled out on a phased basis.
As part of Phase 1, the hospital offers 24-hour urgent care services from 8 to 4 and on-call services thereafter. Scheduled specialist clinics in the areas of pediatrics, surgery, internal medicine, obstetrics and gynecology, ophthalmology, and orthopedics are being offered by appointment and referral daily from 9 a.m. These clinical services are also being supported by diagnostic laboratory services, X-ray, as well as pharmaceutical support and dispensing of medication.
Minister Laville says the public has already begun making use of the services available at the hospital. He says the relevant staffing is in place to ensure smooth operations.
Just for the first week, numerous patients visited the hospital for specialist appointments and several accessed the 24-hour urgent care facility. Besides the clinical and nursing staff, the hospital is run with support staff such as domestic workers, orderlies, radiographer, pharmacists, and maintenance technicians. We are also pleased to have the presence of police officers as security.
The Marigot Hospital will be formally opened next month and stands as a testimony to government's plan to make healthcare more accessible to all Dominicans.
The Marigot Hospital will be formally commissioned on the first week of October with an official ceremony. The government is pleased with this significant milestone as it reflects our unwavering commitment to the well-being of our citizens. We are dedicated to ensuring that everyone has access to quality healthcare, and the reopening of the Marigot Hospital will significantly improve access to healthcare in that region. This achievement is a testament to our government's responsiveness to the needs of our people, and we're excited about the positive impact that this will have on the wider community.
Construction of the new Marigot Hospital was funded through the Citizenship by Investment Program at a cost of over $50 million. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit continues to call on developed countries to do more in responding to the impacts of climate change on small developing states like Dominica. Speaking at a news conference on the 6th anniversary of Hurricane Maria on Monday, Prime Minister Skerrit said it's a matter that he takes very seriously. Following Hurricane Maria, donor countries failed to meet their pledges of support. Consequently, government resorted to utilizing funds from a $600 million savings from CBI funds to front-load recovery and reconstruction efforts.
They have made promises in the Paris Agreement. Every COP summit, there are promises made by the developed world. We started off many years ago with they saying, well, they needed to provide us with grants to build mitigation against storms and to build resilience. Then they moved to saying loans, and they moved to green bonds. They moved now to saying that the private sector will do investments. I'm not sure which private sector firm is going to build a sea defense wall or to build a hospital for governments. And really and truly, the developed world is not living up to their expressed and agreed promises.
Each year, small developing countries are repeatedly promised assistance to help mitigate against the impacts of climate change, but the Prime Minister says these pledges of support never materialized.
So we go into COP28, so you tell you how many COP meetings that we've had. And we go to COP28 in December in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai. And every time a COP conference comes up, summit comes up, we ask ourselves, should we go? Isn't that a waste of money to go? But you can not give up on fighting against an injustice. If our forebears were to say, well, too many people died in attempts for emancipation, and therefore let us just agree that we will remain slaves for the rest of our lives, we will not be here as free black people or free people in the world. And so it's an injustice that we have to continue to fight.
He says this issue must not be a fight for the government only.
This must not appear to be a fight only for the government. We must recognize that it must be a fight for all of us to play our part. And there is not this sense that that we in the Caribbean, Dominica included, understand or appreciate or accept the impact that climate change is having and will continue to have on the way of life. And therefore it's important for us to lend our voices in calling on the international community to play their part in addressing the issues. I mean, of a small country like ours, 226% of your GDP affected. You're an island, so you're not on a continent, and you have many states within your country, or provinces within your country, that one province could help the other if in case a disaster were to happen. We only have ourselves. We get help from friendly governments and institutions, but at the end of it, we only have ourselves. And therefore, it's important for this fight not to be seen to be a government fight, but a fight for all of us to be part of, because this is one of the existential threats to us as a nation.
The Prime Minister says Dominicans need to reflect upon the impact of Hurricane Maria to remind them that they need to be grateful as a nation, giving reverence to God for His many blessings. In March 2023, a cargo vessel arrived in Dominica carrying a substantial amount of heavy equipment for the construction of Dominica's International Airport. Aliyah Martin has more in this report.
In March 2023, a cargo vessel arrived in Dominica carrying a substantial amount of heavy equipment for the construction of Dominica's International Airport. Just 6 months later, the significant amount of work that has taken place at Wesley shows government's commitment to delivering the most important infrastructure project in our nation's history.
It's one thing to discuss the international airport in an office. It's a one thing to see the plan, but being on the site and seeing the progress and the amount of work done in just 3 to 4 months is incredible. And I'm saying to all Dominicans, this is our flagship project. This project is going to open gateways for us in trade and tourism.
The International Airport Development Company is satisfied with the progress of works thus far.
The finalizing of the batch plant site where you have concrete and asphalt batching taking place, so concrete storage, concrete mixing. And then there'll be testing, lab testing by the contractor happening in that area as well. Right next to it, you'll see that there is a fuel farm to ensure that the machinery that arrived and that are working on site are constantly fueled and can work unimpeded for the length of the duration of the project. And then what you'll also see is that the initial grubbing of the entire site to provide motorable roads for the dump equipment to be able to traverse the entire site. That has also started as well.
While over 200 Dominicans are currently employed on the project, there is room for more employment as the project continues.
There are too many distractions going around. If you have nothing to do, instead of wasting time and energy marching in Roseau for nonsense, come on the international airport site and see the amazing work being done to transform this site on our journey to building the best airport in the region.
Currently, major earthworks are ongoing, with much more expected in the coming months.
Although the land around us by Dominican standards looks relatively flat, the amount of cutting and filling that has to go on is actually tremendous. It's probably one of the single biggest earthworks projects happening right now in the Eastern Caribbean. Upwards to 14 million cubic meters of cut and fill. To give that in context, when you look at some of the valleys, there's somewhere of 40 meters of fill, 60 meters of cut happening in some of the areas. So a lot of the movement you're seeing right now is just getting ready and ensuring that that work can go on, because as we've said in the past, Dominica has no flat land. Although this looks relatively flat, when you come closer, you can see the valleys and the hills that all would have to be leveled out to create that airport site.
The Dominica Labour Party administration is the first government to move towards actual construction of Dominica's International Airport. The project is creating avenues for investments in various sectors on island. Dominicans at home and abroad are being encouraged to take advantage of these investment opportunities.
Start thinking of what services you can offer. Airbnb properties, new hotel investments. I'm sending a word out to the Dominican nationals abroad. Form groups. Come back and invest in your country. You never know what happens around the world. But once you're a citizen of Dominica, this is the only place for sure you can call home. And this is a safe country.
The International Airport project is being funded through the Citizenship by Investment program and is expected to be completed by 2027. Aliyah Martin for the Government Information Service.
Thank you, Aliyah, for that report. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit has cautioned the citizens against bringing the country's Citizenship by Investment program into disrepute. Prime Minister Skerrit says some citizens disregard the impact that the CBI program has had on Dominica for political gain.
There continues to be an attempt by some in this country to destroy the CBI. And so they are colluding with international journalists and some regional journalists to propagate a lot of mischief, misinformation about our program, all in an effort to destroy it. And some people are part of this in Dominica just because they want to get the Labour Party out of government. Now, when you get the Labour Party out of government, and God forbid you to come into government, and you destroy the CBI, what's going to happen?
The Prime Minister noted that the CBI program funds many of the social, developmental, and infrastructural programs and projects around the island.
A program that underwrites a significant part of our economic and social development. A program that is underwriting the full cost of the National Employment Program. Close to $5 million every month. A program that has been used to build thousands of homes, improve healthcare, help with national security, help with diversifying the economy and growing the economy in agriculture and tourism with the building of hotels. A program that is constructing the international airport and which will construct the marina to create economic opportunities in our country. And there are some of us in this country who are benefiting from it and who are in the same vein seeking to join forces with international people who would like to see this country brought down to its knees and no source of funding from the CBI so that they can say, there it is.
Prime Minister Skerrit added that Dominicans should condemn the actions of those who seek to damage the program. He also updated the public on actions being taken by government to address any issues within the program.
We have to condemn it as Dominicans. And so you'll see in the next few days and weeks, also stories being written about Dominica, CBI, and all these things. You know, in our case, we are taking action. There are a number of actions that we've taken to improve the management and the oversight of the program. I have said earlier, we are in discussions with an international accounting firm who will engage. I made an announcement in Parliament some weeks ago that we will engage an international firm who will come in and do a comprehensive auditing of our program. And in the next few days, we should be in a position to finalize with this international firm, and I'll be in a position to name that firm who will come in to assist us. We have changed the legislation, and we're going to be bringing additional legislation to make it more difficult for citizens to change their names, which has been a concern for our partners. So we're taking all of the actions that need to be taken.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
I love the freedom when I'm out there. Simply put, the worries from shore, none of that out there. And it's my daily bread. I learned it from my dad. My dad is one of the senior guys here who catch the biggest fish around here. And he's top with the red snappers. It's a family thing. I'm the only one fishing right now in the family. Just keeping it going. I enjoy bringing them up, man. Sometimes you have a yellowfin tuna, 400 pounds. Man, let me tell you, that's just a joy out there. I enjoy going out there and just holding the big fish. I don't lift weights, I lift fish. The morning of my fishing trip, I would get up, make a little spice tea. Then I come down here. I have my GPS, which most fishermen are supposed to have that. Normally I prepare the day before, because whenever you're going out there, you must have ice. Ice is a must for preservation of the fish. So I always make sure I have everything the day before. My fish represents me, and I bring good quality fish ashore simply because the restaurants themselves, they have to show a quality product. Tourism and agriculture go hand in hand. That's what I think. We're all connected. It's like a big machine, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. My name is Brandon Carlisle, and tourism is my business.
Welcome back. Manager of Dominica Electricity Services, DOMLEC, Mrs. Bertilia Mackenzie, says the hydropower plant at Loda, which normally contributes 30% towards Dominica's electricity, now contributes about 15%. She says this is due to reduced water levels at the freshwater lake, which is the result of the prolonged dry spell impacting the island. In addition to the low water levels, the company is also experiencing challenges with the generators and is now undergoing the process of load shedding. In response to the current challenges, an expert team from Venezuela has arrived on island to assist Dominica.
What we did was to send to the ambassador the issues that we've been having with some of the units, the failures, the types of failures that the units have suffered, and the status of each of the generating units. And as I must be specific, the diesel generating units. And out of that, he would have sent it to Venezuela and gotten experts in that field to deal with that. So they will be working alongside the guy we have here, Elford Felix, the one from St. Lucia, as well as our mechanical engineers or electrical engineers and our technicians. What will they be doing? They will be assessing the state of the diesel generating units at Sugarloaf and at Fonkole.
Mrs. Mackenzie says citizens can expect some relief by the first week in October.
I expect some measure of relief by the first week of October, some measure of relief. And certainly, by the end of the year, certainly greater relief than what they will experience by October. That's what I will see. But certainly a great deal of measure of relief by the first week of October, if we get these units, and we expect to get them, because they are government associated generators, 3 megawatts of that.
Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit says once the recommendations are made, immediate action will be taken.
The idea for us is, government standpoint, to provide any technical support to Dominica, is to get, it is to complement or to assist the existing staff, not to displace them or to set them aside. It's to come in to assist them in identifying what can be done in the immediate to help alleviate the load shedding situation, if not eliminate it completely going forward. So if you give us a few days, let the team come in. Work has started. The first gentleman who is there. The Venezuelans will come in tomorrow, God's willing. They'll be working 24 hours a day to look at the situation, what needs to be done. Once we get those recommendations from those teams, then Dominica will seek to implement those recommendations to alleviate the situation in the immediate. Now, in the medium term, it is clear that generators must be purchased. I had already given Dominica the go-ahead to order a 2 megawatt based on their advice and so forth, as the majority shareholder.
President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles A. Savrin, addressed the United Nations 2023 Sustainable Development Summit, Shaping the Future of Sustainable Development on behalf of the Caribbean community on Monday, September 18, 2023. President Savrin says there must be commitment and solidarity for the Sustainable Development Goals to be met within the time frame.
CARICOM's position on the path towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals has been clearly outlined in several debates and intergovernmental negotiations under the auspices of the United Nations. We firmly believe that a greater commitment, solidarity, and transformative action are needed to achieve the set targets within a realistic time frame.
His Excellency Savrin is hopeful the summit will provide the opportunity for member states to work towards achieving the goals.
This summit will provide a unique opportunity to fundamentally adjust trajectory of all member states to take positive action towards its implementation. Mr. President, CARICOM endorses the political declaration set out by the Secretary General in a renewed call for all member states to recommit towards this transformative process.
4 young men are among new members to serve on the Campbell Desport Village Council. 6 candidates contested in the elections held on Monday, September 18, 2023. Sheldon Esprit topped the polls with 39 votes. Delix St. Hilaire received 38 votes. Trevor Charles and Shariah Ania Debon both received 37 votes, while Kareem Reynolds St. Hilaire received 33 votes. The other candidate was Evelyn Lewis. The new team expressed their commitment to working with the community. GIS caught up with 3 of the elected candidates.
It's a delight, to be honest. I wasn't really surprised. I always knew that I would be part of this council here. I want to thank all the people that vote for me and the rest of my team. Some of them are my very close friends, my fellas and them. So yeah, thanks for it all.
That's the generation we live in today. So it's us as young people, especially, to make a difference in our community and further off our country on a whole. So as young people, yes, people may say we're inexperienced and whatnot, but it's just to just put our minds together and make it happen.
It is my first time on the council, and I'm going to try my best, do my utmost best, to make this council a memorable one. I have a lot of plans for my village. I know my team and I will work together because we are young and we have plans, future plans. One of my plans for this council is unity. I'm trying to put a lot of activities together where we can bring the people together to create unity in the community, because a lot of people, the village is divided. So I'm trying to do a lot of things where we can work as a team. We can do sporting events, activities, where we can bring people together so we can work as one.
Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit has described the Group of 77 plus China Summit as a unique opportunity to have frank and open dialogue. The G77 plus China Summit concluded in Havana, Cuba over the weekend. The 2-day summit was held under the theme, The Current Challenges of Development, Role of Science, Technology, and Innovation. Prime Minister Skerrit told the leaders gathered that the summit also provided a chance to unite behind common development principles to achieve the goals of sustainability and resilience in the face of external economic shocks.
We all accept that now more than any other time in the history of mankind, we live in a world which is shaped and driven by science and technology. The reality is, notwithstanding the size of an economy or population, investment in science and technology enables innovations across all sectors, which allows for new productive processes that are essential for human welfare and advancement. We have all witnessed positive results when science and technology is utilized as a driver of development. For decades, it has been this driver that has influenced the blueprints from which countries in the Caribbean and across the G77 have set and achieved primary developmental objectives and identified solutions to enhance our resilience agenda.
Prime Minister Skerrit says CARICOM remains committed and constant in its advocacy for meaningful exchanges in all aspects of international relations and trade.
These exchanges facilitate the building of capacity in critical areas, including public health, education, information technology, infrastructure development, food security, energy security, climate change, and disaster mitigation. While we in the Global South have made notable progress in science and technology, we must recognize that there remains much to be done to enhance and support our development efforts. Our collective pursuit of innovation in science and technology for global development facilitates clear and long-lasting shared benefits, providing an effective path to address the current challenges.
The G77 plus China Summit brought together world leaders to discuss current development challenges facing member countries and to seek common solutions. Dominica's delegation to the summit included Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of the Environment, Rural Modernization, Kalinago Upliftment and Constituency Empowerment, Honorable Darren Lloyd, and Dominica's Ambassador to Cuba, His Excellency Ian Douglas. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I am Octavia Prosper. Thank you for watching.